What's up world, welcome back to my channel. Vladi B here. Let's talk about cryptocurrency once again, because cryptocurrency is still one of the best ways to invest your money and actually grow your net worth significantly. Let's see why. First of all, cryptocurrency is one of those things that is still just growing. It's still just becoming known. It's just spreading like cancer, to be honest. It's spreading really crazy, and more people are talking about that. When I was on my vacation, I actually noticed a lot of people around me talking about cryptocurrency and even checking it on their phones. Everyone around the world is becoming more and more aware of it. Not everybody is comfortable investing into it just yet, but all that means is that you still have the opportunity to get in while it's still somewhat early, not very early. Like that guy BitBoy Crypto whatever said in his one of his short videos. He said you're not early investing into cryptocurrency, but you are early learning about it, because it's been around for over 10 years. Let's be honest, you're not really early, but I actually feel like I'm very late, because some people already made millions and even billions of dollars on the right token, the right coin, and I still haven't, to be honest, made any significant money on cryptocurrency. If anything, I'm losing a lot of money because I bought when it was the highest, because I started kind of late. I started super late, and I had the FOMO, fear of missing out, and I ended up buying when the cryptocurrency was at its highest, and I was able to get on some coins somewhat early. For example, Shiba token, I was able to get in on that earlier than it is right now, what it's at right now. However, some people made millions on Shiba already because they went in when Shiba had about 8 or 9 zeros in front of it, compared to right now only 4 zeros. So it basically doubled in price, and people made 1000x on their investment. So if you invested $1,000 back in the day, and that's like less than a year ago, I'm talking about really recently, less than a year ago, you would have made millions of dollars off $1,000 investment. You might say, well, what if I don't have the $1,000? Sure, yeah, but if you did have that and you invested, you were willing to risk that $1,000 for a chance to profit like 1000x and actually make millions on that. Good for you, really good for you. You actually became a millionaire. That's one thing about cryptocurrency. It's one of the only things that allowed so many regular people, just a regular Joe out there like you and I, to make so much money just by making the right guess. Crazy guess. Think about the ratio of what you can make versus what you can lose. That risk, measure that risk. And let's say if you put $1,000 and you lose that $1,000, yeah, it sucks, it's a lot of money. But if you're able to make millions of dollars off of that $1,000, I mean, the ratio there is ridiculous. I mean, your potential to make this much versus losing this much is ridiculous. It's worth the try, the shot, if you have, of course, the extra cash to put into it. If you don't, at the very least, you can put $100, $200, you know, a month. I believe that as long as you're working full-time, you should be okay to put away at least $100 a month. And if you can't do that, then you really need to readjust your stuff. And you can watch some of my other videos on how to live on a budget, how to set your budget, and how to get out of debt faster, because there are ways, right? If you're paying a lot of money for your car insurance, you can switch your car insurance. If you're paying a lot of money on your car payments in general, you can usually refinance. If you're doing good with your payments, you can refinance. Or worst case scenario, get rid of that car, that really expensive car that you're paying a lot of money for, and try to buy something more economy friendly, something more on a budget that you can actually afford. Because if you're paying $500 a month for a car, you can probably switch it to something where you will pay $300, and that $200 you can invest, or put it towards something else that you might need more than that $500 car a month, because that's a lot. Yeah, that's a above average car, $500 a month. And that same thing goes for everything. It goes for your car insurance, your house payments, your rent. If you're living in a rental and you're paying too much for rent, like Jim Rohn said, move. You're not a tree. You can go and find a better place that maybe you don't need a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom. Maybe you can move into a studio. Maybe you can move to a different location. Maybe it's not as safe of a location, but if you're living alone and you don't have a family and kids, you can maybe afford living in a somewhat less desirable area just so you can save hundreds of dollars a month. Because that hundreds of dollars a month you're saving today can get you very far in life if you invest that couple $100 into the right thing, like cryptocurrency, for example. And it doesn't have to be cryptocurrency, it can be anything, as long as you're investing the right way. If you're investing and your money is slowly but steadily growing, you will eventually be able to afford a rental property yourself. You will be able to buy a house and not have to pay for rent. And even though you're going to pay for mortgage a lot of money, you still not throwing that money away, because usually housing market tends to go up, right? Sometimes it goes down. There's dips always, right? But tendency is always upwards. So that means that whatever you buy today is most likely going to be worth more in a few years from now. And those payments you're making, it's like a deposit. You can later on sell the house and actually pull that money out. So for example, if your house is worth $300,000 when you pull out the mortgage, and you're paying for 5 years, and now 5 years later the house is actually worth $500,000, and let's say in 5 years you were able to pay $100,000. Let's be crazy, and that means that, okay, out of 300 you paid 100, so you only owe 200 more, but the house went up 200. So by selling it, you can actually make $300,000 back, right? You'll sell it for 500, you still owe 200 to the bank, only 200 out of 3. You pay that back, and you still made $300,000 in 5 years. That's a crazy return on investment. And think about it this way: you would have paid the same amount of money if you were renting a place, an apartment or a house, but that money will never come back to you, because you can never get that back. No matter what you do, rentals, you can't get that money back. And that's why, you know, the people of Wales, let's put it that way, they want to buy out all the real estate, rent it all out to regular people, so that they're making all the money, and the regular people always in debt, always paying for that rent. It sucks. And it's good to strive to own your own property. You don't have to have a rental, you don't have to have a property management business, but even having your own real estate that you're paying mortgage on, that you will be able to sell in the future, it could also be an exit plan for you. Let's say you lived until you're 60, 65, and you had a house that back in the day you bought for $200,000-$300,000, even $500,000, but you know, 20, 30 years passed by, you already finished paying it off, and it's now worth $1 million. Even let's say you don't have any pension, because you didn't really work a job that you know, put away money for pension, and now your retirement money is only roughly like $900 a month. You can't survive on $900 a month. You just can't, especially if you're older and you have a lot of expenses, medical expenses and all that kind of stuff. But when you have a house that's worth $1 million, and you can sell it and go ahead and move somewhere where it's much cheaper to live, and you can buy a house for $200,000, a really nice house for $200,000, and still have $800,000 left over to live, you can live the rest of your life basically financially free, independent from anyone. And this is extremely realistic, but the only way to do so is if you actually go ahead and buy a house. Now, this wasn't a real estate video, but just overall in general, investments, cryptocurrency, real estate, the stock market, all those things are super important in your life. And you know, they don't teach us in school about that stuff. And that's something that baffles me, that's something that pisses me off, because I was never taught any of that in school. And this is actually the stuff, if anything, out of all things out there, this is the only stuff that would actually be useful to me. Because if they taught me in high school, in grade 10, 11, 12, that I need to start investing into the stock market, and I already had a part-time job back then, and I was putting that money into my savings account, that was giving me like 10 cents return a month on my savings, that's nothing. That's robbery. They're just using that money for whatever they want. Just because it's sitting there, they're able to use it, but I'm only getting 10 cents back every month on them using that money. That's nothing. That's worth zero. And so the question is, why don't they teach us all that? Because they want us to be slaves. They want to teach us how to be sitting in classroom from the really young age, obeying their rules, obeying all the bullshit system that they're built around us, so that we can go all through kindergarten, go through that bullshit, then go through high school, get out of high school, get into college and university, get ourselves into a ridiculous debt, $20 to $50 to $100,000 in debt. That's ridiculous. And then they're gonna charge you interest 6 months after you're out of school on that debt that they basically force you to take, because education is so ridiculously expensive. Why is education so expensive? It should be the most affordable thing in the world, you would think. But no, it's not. It's still a way for those bastards to make money off of us. For the government, for those educational institutions, it's all corruption. In the end of the day, it's legalized corruption. It's bullshit. On top of all that stuff, they expect you to go and work a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, and you know, sucking a ton of taxes out of you, a lot of your hard-earned money for some reason just has to go to the government. 30%, 40%, 50% sometimes, ridiculous amount of money just goes back towards taxes. They're just stealing that money from you. I don't have any other words to, describe that situation, what's happening. Then they're taxing everything you're buying. So you already pay taxes on your money. Now they're gonna tax everything else from what you're buying. Everything you're buying, you still have to pay more taxes. And then when you get your retirement money, you have to, guess what? Pay taxes off of that. Although that's already taxed and you already paid all of that shit. Don't think that the government has your back, because it doesn't. It only wants to screw you. And I hate that. And a lot of other people hate that, but there's nothing we can do for some reason. I know that collectively people can do something, right? All the riots, all that bullshit, people are protesting, but look what they're doing. They're suppressing everything. Everything that people try to write about, to go against, it's getting suppressed. And really violently too. People that have some form of authority, people in the military, people in the police forces, a lot of them are really good people, but a lot of them are abusing that authority and suppressing people that just want to be expressed, just want to express themselves. And so back to that question of what to do. Why are they not giving us that proper education in schools? Because they don't want us to be successful. They want us to be slaves forever. They don't ever want us to be financially independent, financially free, because it's, for them, it's a disaster. To them, if you're financially independent, it's like, oh my God, how are we gonna handle this? They like some business owners. They like people creating jobs and businesses and opportunities for people, so that those people can pay taxes off of that, and businesses can pay taxes. Everybody pays taxes. So, but not everybody can be financially independent, because it's a disaster for the government. So the things you have to learn and teach your kids is the financial stuff, all the finances, how the money works, how to invest, what to invest into, how to figure out what to invest into, all the different things out there. And this will, I feel like, never be in schools. It will never be in schools. So I'm really seeing a lot of homeschooled kids these days, and I understand why. And my kids, whenever I do have mine, and I hope I do someday have a couple of kids, 1 or 2, I want to give them homeschooling. And the reason is because I want to make sure that they're getting actually what they need in life. I don't need them to learn too much about history and memorize names and dates and all that junk that just clutters your mind for no good reason. Most of the math that I learned personally is never being used. I need some percentages, calculation, multiplication, divisions, all that kind of stuff, really simple stuff, but calculus, pre-calc, who needs that? Only certain people that are in certain fields need that kind of stuff, but it's specialties. And people that are really into that need to go into that. But the majority that doesn't need that shouldn't have their brains cluttered and being stressed out and pressured into passing all those exams and just like jamming all that into their brains. Instead, you should learn languages, you should learn finances, definitely some basic stuff. Learn your language really well so that you can communicate properly, really rich vocabulary. All that is really important. But majority of stuff in schools is not important. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to really educate yourself. It's nobody to blame but yourself if you're in your 20s or especially 30s and you're lacking some financial education. It's on you now. You can't blame your parents, your school. I'm not blaming my school anymore. It's all on me. It's my responsibility to educate myself after a certain point. My high school was over when I was 18, and from that point on, I'm on my own. And so are you. So make sure you give yourself the right education, do the research, get yourself under control, get your life under control, and become successful. That's all I wish for everybody that's watching my channel, and those who don't watch my channel, just for everybody. Just be successful, right? Like this video, subscribe to the channel for more good content to come, and I will see you in another video.